I honestly have no clue how people manage to do this. This honestly feels like I'm talking to a wall. So this was really crazy. Going from just here, going from uncollected, all the way to Thronebreaker was insane. Especially just doing it in 7 months. And I know that Seaton did it just in under 1 month recently. And I more so just wanted to talk about how I did it so quick. I know that Seaton did it at light speed, but this is more so just a detailing of how I made through it. Because I'll be honest, with the amount of help you got from events in terms of the past maybe like 9 or 10 months, it has been insane for a lot of players, and man, has it boosted a lot of accounts. So the first thing I'd like to detail is the champions, which are going to be your most important aspect and what were in fact the most important aspect in my journey, along with certain nodes which help implicate and I guess alter the abilities of the champions to much in my benefit. So around the time I was uncollected, the only real champions I had of any value were Cosmic Ghost Rider, who was I'm pretty sure a rank 3 at the time, Dr. Doom, who I'm pretty sure was a rank 4, and I finally had a Magneto, and he definitely helped around the time a lot by clearing a lot of other annoying metal champs that had a lot of annoying abilities, nodes implied to them, and he was a bunch of help. Though now, what I'd like to detail here is all the champs I have right now and why I've ranked up these certain champs and for what reasons. So currently at the moment, if we see my 6-star rank 2s, we can see that I have 8, and they are Sunspot, Sentinel, Professor X, Tigra, Longshot, Warlock, Ultron, and Juggernaut. Now, I'm going to detail exactly why I wanted to rank up all of these, along with my rank 3 6-stars and my rank 5 stars. So primarily these top champs right around here are champions that cleared out a lot of annoying nodes, that had a lot of useful abilities for annoying nodes, and that could clear out a lot of content story mode wise, event quest wise, and battleground wise partially. So when I look at my champions, I'd say the MVP would by far have to be Kitty Pryde. She has the most strongest awaken ability in the entire game, I'd say, and it gives her a huge advantage in battle. And if you have her awaken and you haven't taken her to rank 3, honestly, you definitely should. She's a great help to you, and she can really just clear out 90% of the nodes in the game if you're really skilled. Now, moving on to my other rank 3s, Quicksilver and Black Widow, they're more so utility based. Quicksilver has a lot of damage, but I'd primarily use him for his utility. He helps a lot in event quests in areas where enemies are unstoppable or evade a lot, and I faced that a lot recently during some content, even in Battlegrounds where a lot of people were just placing Nightcrawler. And Black Widow for the same, because the primary abilities she has are her immunities, which imply her power gain, power control, damage, lifesteal, and that falls into play with a lot of other factors. For example, with the Icarus node, the lifesteal is just crazy, and that can really help you clear out stuff, which is definitely something that helped me clear out the paths of 6.5.4, if I'm not wrong, and that was a huge ton of help. Now, I'm going to more generally list off everybody else now, but Sunspot, Sentinel, and Professor X were really just ace in the hole type characters. If I needed them, I'd use them, but they weren't much use to me. In terms of story content, I really only used Sentinel in the Crossbones quest because he was the only 6-star robot I had, which was definitely a great help because He cleared that guy with the amount of boost that I had at the moment. I'm pretty sure I used a 20%er health champion boost and a 15% attack. So he was a huge bunch of help there. Everybody else is just an all-rounding team that can just help you clear out so much content. Cosmic Ghost Rider, well, he's Cosmic Ghost Rider, he's insane. If you've seen Slayer of Gods videos, you know how crazy he is in battle. Tigra, Longshot, and Warlock are really more so based in skill. Longshot and Tigra can take a bit of time to ramp up along with Warlock, but their efforts can definitely pay off. Along with some immunities that Warlock has, along with his utility, he can prove a lot more viable and a lot more content than you'd presume, regardless of his lower damage output. Dr. Doom, Ultron, and Magneto are top tier champs that I've put into my main team, and I'd say Ultron is a better robot than Warlock in my opinion, because he has quite a bit of good utility, quite a good lot of immunities. He's a double immunity champ, and his damage is just insane. If you've seen my previous video, you know what I'm saying, but he's great. And Dr. Doom and Magneto are again more so aces in the holes. They're really great at what they do, and I'd suggest if you have them to rank them up, especially Magneto, because there's a good chunk of metal champions you'll fight in the game, and he can really counter a bunch of them. Juggernaut I just recently ranked up, so I haven't gone to use him a lot, but I've heard that he was pretty good, and I've seen some good gameplay of him, so I decided to take him up, and I've used him in Battlegrounds quite a bit, and he's been quite useful, so I'm definitely inclined to using him more. Now, what I'm pretty much going to assume here is that everybody is either uncollected or right on the cusp of becoming uncollected, right around Chapter 1 or Chapter 2. And from that point, from where you become uncollected, I definitely say take your time with the chapters that come along, because these chapters can be a real struggle to get through. And I truly do mean that, especially Chapter 3 and Chapter 3 of Act 5 and Chapter 1 of Act 6. These two chapters were a real pain for me, and I definitely say that take your time with these. There's gonna be a lot of hard paths you come across. I just say, if you're intending to use revives, don't use them a lot on these chapters, or try to avoid as much as you can, and try to watch tutorials for those areas, because that can definitely help you in certain areas of combat where it's really tough to maneuver. Probably the best example I can give is this quest right here, Tentative Steps. This quest has a pretty annoying node where if you dash back at any point in time, you'll pretty much just take direct damage, and it's really annoying. When that happens, you basically just won't be able to do much, and you'll just constantly have to revive. I'd suggest, if you're going in here and you immediately want to go to Cavalier, if you want to speedrun there, take your time with these two chapters and try to rank up more champions rather than trying to go revive heavy, because that will definitely be able to help you in these chapters themselves. Chapter 4 of Act 5, I'd say, is definitely something that is quite peculiar. It isn't particularly hard if you know how to maneuver around it. There was one cheese I remember with this Ultron where you could just cheese him with the Wiccan, who was like rank 1, level 1 as a 6-star or 5-star, and he would just annihilate this Ultron. So if you have him, I guess you can use him there as well. Now, the advice I'd give for Chapter 2 right here, the most primary one, is that you definitely intend on using revives, because it's pretty much unavoidable here. After Quest 1 of Chapter 2, you'll pretty much have to use a revive on at least 3 of the 5 other quests, and that's definitely going to be something annoying. And to really counter that at the best of your abilities, I'd say don't go really stingy on boosts, and use them on every quest that you can. Try to farm them up, try to do more Alliance Wars so you can get more loyalty, which you can buy boosts from, and try to do solo events in your Alliance as well, along with having having a relatively wide roster. Because in MCOC, the primary thing is that you don't focus on being a master of one thing, you focus on becoming a jack of everything. You don't want to just focus on one element of it, you want to master every single area. If there's a poison node, you want a robot to counter it. If there's a metal champion who's really annoying, you probably want a Magneto. That's what you have to do. You have to really widen your roster, because at some point, some character in your roster, regardless of how arbitrary they are, how weird they are, and if they're not Karnak, they're probably going to be useful. Now, what I'd say you do now after Chapter 2 is, with Chapter 3, it's a pretty big slog. You just have to get more of a wider roster here as well, similar to Chapter 2. But here, try to focus on more tech-based champs, because this Havoc and Mysterio fight are both definitely going to require some good tech champs, especially robots, because they can definitely counter some ground here. This Iron Man, again, I cleared him with Magneto, so I can't really say much about how tough he can be. What I will say though is that I've seen how hard he can be if you're not tentative enough to how much power he gains, so definitely be careful of that. And talking about this Captain America right here, if he tanks you a lot and steals a lot of your revives, don't let that break your spirit, because this guy is an absolute pain if you don't know how to fight him well. Even the solos I pulled off with Kitty Pryde were really tough to do, and I'm not even kidding, I was sweating bullets by the end of it. It was crazy. So yeah, definitely have a good wide roster for these two chapters right here. For the final chapter, I'd say focus on having more robot champions, especially Warlock. Warlock can counter Iceman right here, and he's pretty annoying with the cold snap, but if you got someone who can counter that like Warlock, then you're pretty much solid on that. These next 3 quests are pretty easy to do, they just take quite a bit. If you know how to counter Thorvags with baiting specials, then you're pretty much sold. I'd say Darkhawk is definitely the hardest out of these 5 bosses for me, but I'd say that naturally just because of his utility with the regen, the stealth mechanic, and the shield mechanic. He's a really big annoyance, but I use Magneto to clear him. Again, a great reason why you should rank up Magneto, and he could definitely help you there. Though, I will say now, for the main primary value of this, with the Grandmaster, similar to Captain America and other chapters of Act 6, be prepared to use a ton of revives here if you're not prepared for this and you haven't watched a bunch of videos or practiced a lot, because man, this guy is going to absolutely break your spirits if you do not have the courage to go through with it. I'd suggest boosts aren't really that useful here, because a 20% boost isn't going to really do you much when you have a 380% boosting competence token. So boosts are a little bit arbitrary here. I'd only really suggest maybe like a power boost, but even that I'm not too sure will really help you much. I'd just say watch a lot, and I mean a lot of videos, especially searching if the champ you're intending to use the most, or the champs you're intending to use the most, have notable solos or notable takedowns on YouTube with taking down this guy himself. If you can do that and find that, and you're completely prepared for this guy, you should be able to knock this guy out of the park relatively easily. He is really tough if you don't know what you're doing, but if you know exactly how to counter him, exactly what to be prepared for, and exactly what animations to look out for before he damages you out of the blue, then you're pretty much good to go. And now the final tip I'd like to give is just don't give up. That's a really big factor of all of this. And if you give up, you're pretty much just going to lose automatically, because 100% of the shots you don't take will be shots that you miss. And you really need to just keep continuing to push on and just try to take on as much content as you can without letting it break your spirit. This game is primarily about perseverance, and when that falls into play, your patience is tested, and the goal is to not lose your patience. Once you have a hold of that, you can pretty much win the entire game. And I'd say your courage, determination, and patience are going to be the key factors defining your success. If you have the courage, the stamina, the momentum to keep pushing forward and ahead, regardless of your roster and whatnot, you can definitely do this. I mean, Seaton literally did this in a month with a very limited roster, and he cleared it like an absolute champ. He cleared the Grandmaster fight better than even I did. So I definitely suggest courage is a primary factor that you need, along with your perseverance and patience. As long as you have that, you'll pretty much be able to succeed regardless of who's on your team. But I hope you all enjoyed that. This was one hell of a journey. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.